This post a self-indulgence, an attempt at understanding, a written record, perhaps posthumous, and a confession, though inspired not by any sudden moral clarity but by arid necessity, not, therefore, admirable but perhaps at least somewhat illuminating, like a cellar light bulb that shows the cold concrete emptiness of one's surroundings. One of my favorite poems is Amy Lowell's The Taxi. When I go away from you, the world beats dead. Like a slackened drum, I call out for you against the jutted stars, and shout into the ridges of the wind. Streets coming fast, one after the other, wedge you away from me, and the lamps of the city prick my eyes, so that I can no longer see your face. Why should I leave you? To wound myself upon the sharp edges of the night? I like it, by which I mean it haunts me, and it haunts me for its images, for the way the words transpose, by clear yet metaphorical description, fragments of another reality into mine, and in those images, projected upon a screen in the cinema of my mind, fleetingly I see beyond myself. I think much of my writing shares this quality, offering mere glimpses into other, and internal worlds. There's a reason for this, one to which I'll get shortly, but first I want to address an increasingly frequent criticism of my writing, that my stories are written by AI. I've always denied this, and I still do, because it is not strictly speaking true, yet there is a truth to the criticism which I've never acknowledged, a truth, a shame and a wonder, namely that my stories are not my stories at all. In a basic sense I do write them because I record them, but they don't originate with me. I am not their source. This explains why I have been able to post so many, with so many different ideas, and in so many different voices. This is the first time you're hearing my voice. This is the first time I'm posting something I created. The first story I posted to Reddit was called The Boy Who Spoke Mosquito, 3 years ago. Since then I've posted about 200 more. Each has been written the same way, sitting in the driver's seat of my car with a partially loaded revolver on my lap, listening to a character whose reflection I see only in the rear view mirror. I'll never forget the night I first left my house, getting into the car intending to let fate decide whether I would live or die, placing the revolver in my mouth, and then hearing someone speak, a boy whose mouth had been stitched shut and who'd cut those stitches with a knife just to talk to me. "I speak mosquito," he said, and when I turned to look, nobody was in the back seat, but I could hear his voice and see his reflection. "I want to tell you about Oliver." He told me his story, and I remembered it as best as I could, and then I wrote it down and posted it online. I did the same for my second story, my 20th, my 100th. Each time I got into the car I accepted I could kill myself, I was at peace with that, and each time a new passenger appeared to tell me their story. Sometimes we just sat in the car. Sometimes I drove, feeling like Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver with Marty Scorsese in the backseat talking about his cheating wife. Sometimes I took notes. A few times I tried recording the conversation on my phone, but all I got was silence. In the past 3 years, I've posted over 200 stories to Reddit. All of them are from these characters. None are mine. The harsh truth is I'm not a very imaginative person, and I wouldn't be capable of writing half a dozen stories, let alone 200. The last story I posted was Master Taxidermist. That was 11 days ago. Since then I've gotten into my car twice. Twice no character appeared. Twice, I placed the revolver into my mouth and pulled the trigger, and heard the click of an empty chamber. Both times I was terrified, but I didn't stop. I wanted to pull the trigger. I did pull it. Click. And from the hypertension of focused silence the world rushes back in. I roll down the windows and, letting the night air cool me, think of nothing at all. I don't know why the characters are no longer there. I don't know why they were ever there. But whatever the reason, it means this post is the last thing I have left to say, really the only thing I have ever said. There's nothing else. Perhaps another click or two, perhaps not. Then finally, inevitably, a bang, and that's that, out of this world like Robert E. Howard. Maybe it has to do with the eclipse that happened a few days ago. I experienced it in totality, night and day, darkness at mid-afternoon, and despite what they said, I did look up at the sun, looked at it without glasses, without protection, with my naked eyes only, and what I saw wasn't an eclipse at all, not one celestial body casting a shadow over another, but a hole in the sun, like a tunnel, and some part of me feels I traveled through that tunnel from one world into this. But that's just silly speculation. An astronomical miscomprehension. The salient fact is that I didn't write any of my stories. From the first one, I've been a fraud, a plagiarist, or worse. That's my confession. None of what I've written. I have been lying to you all for years. Now the source has run dry and here I am, explaining myself because I can't keep up the charade anymore. How utterly pathetic. But you do deserve to know. I am a weakling and a coward, but you do deserve to know. I'm sorry. There will be no new stories, no new glimpses into other worlds unless I did travel through the sun, and my very confession is itself a lens into another reality. Perhaps, once upon a time, I mistook a bang for a click. Out, brief candle. Perhaps, in my own hollowness, I even mistook a bang for a whimper, and why, then, should I keep wounding myself on the edges of the night? Why not instead sit and enjoy the silence?